Here's another
Go ahead.
question. Here's another question, right? How can I love you if I'm struggling to love myself?
You
You
can't do
can't. It's
that's.
And
impossible. You
Uh,
can't.
If
you
I'm
know what?
struggling
I'm
with
not gonna say it's
my
impossible.
addictions, if I'm struggling with my self-hate, if I'm struggling to learn and be okay with who I am, how can I love the person next to me?
I
You
think it.
can't.
I think when you come to love the person next to you, if you're still struggling, means that you still have some love in you. Because if you didn't have that love, right, you can't never give it. You know what I'm saying? But if there's even one tiny bit of it in you, you can always give. You know what I'm saying? Still
Or sometimes,
struggling means that you still have some love in you.
But
Because
I can also
if you didn't have that love, right, you can't never
you know what I
give.
mean? Like they're not able
You know what I'm
to
saying? But
show
if there's
affection, but they
even
can
one
show
tiny
affection
bit
to
of it in
everyone in
you,
their life,
you can always give.
by
You
always
know what I'm
paying
saying?
them
Still
attention,
struggling
by
means that you
always
still
being
have
there for
some
them,
love
but
in
they
you.
cannot be there for
but
themselves. They can't,
Because
I
because
can
somewhere down the
also
line,
if
someone has
you didn't
told them
have
that
that
it's not okay
love,
for you to love
right,
yourself that much because you
you
can't
can't
put
never
yourself, you know what I
give.
mean? Like they're not able
You know what I'm
to
saying? But
show
if there's
affection, and
even
so they took
one
that and they learned how to show love to other people the way that they wish that they had been able to show love to themselves.
yeah, just like saying man can't cry.
Now
mm,
that's some bullshit.
Right?
yeah, but in a lot of ways, it's true because, for instance, little example, when I was going through the whole cancer stuff, I had to let people know that it's okay to hug people. I was like, "What are you guys doing? A high five? Where's my high five on this mug? You guys sliced my neck up, put radiation all up on my neck, and I look at you guys in the eyes, and you guys all look down. Every single step of the way, there was never a smile, and I understand, but people, in a way, not only do they give up on themselves constantly on a daily basis, but they also give up on other people. And in essence, if we really want to answer that question, we have to be so close to the source, like the sun, to God, because there is a source of love, and it comes from somewhere, and we all see it and we all feel it when we are aware. But when we're guarded, that's when every the claws come out. And in essence, whenever you step up in the room, you can feel that. Can I open my heart in this room, or can I take out my claws in this room? You
Mm.
know,
Hey,
and
guys, I gotta go. I'm sorry, guys. So
Bye.
took a
good
little.
night.
Good night.
But you
Paquito
know
Manny,
what?
hey buddy, I'll see you later. I have my kids
Buenas
when you
That's
come
noches.
over,
something.
yeah.
But in
That's
essence,
something very
people.
interesting, and Sir actually touched on the topic earlier. So I had a conversation with one of my coworkers, and it was about judgment. And we are supposed to judge certain people, and I think because it's something that keeps us safe. And I think people now are in a place where we're afraid to say this person makes me uncomfortable because that means that you're not a good person, like by saying that. You know what I mean? But when in reality, but there's a reason why you feel that way about certain people. You know what I mean? Like there's something like in us that tells us like, okay, I'm not comfortable around these people.
It's usually you can
And
look in the eyes and in their voice. Like how,
mhm,
how if you really listen, even Tupac said it. Watch how people talk, because they'll reveal what's in their heart eventually. Just listen and watch
mhm,
how they move. And I've been like doing that more and more often, because I'm trying to see who's the smartest or who's pretending to be the smartest, because
mhm,
those are two different things. And those people that pretend to be the smartest are not, and the people that are, it's like an upside down world that you got to see, you know. Uh, but you have to walk certain parts of the world to start figuring those things out. But
Usually people who are gifted in areas of intellect and wisdom, usually people who are smart express it by doing, because there's no need for me to say that I'm smart. right? I need to show
Absolutely.
it through my actions,
Yep.
and that is a greater convincer. And as far when there are so many, as human beings, we're very complex, beings. We're very complex, right? Anything practiced past the point of balance becomes unhealthy. So, like you were saying, Zoe, when it is it is a beautiful thing to be able to empathize with another human being, but when we begin to pity a human being, we cut ourselves off from connecting with them through uh, a loving way. And James was right, because if I'm not comfortable, or if I'm not satisfied with my own self-image, with the image I see every day, how can I, in any shape, form, or fashion, admire or adore, another reflective image in a human sense on somebody else? I have to be able to, to be comfortable and be, all right with the image that I see, that I possess in my daily, my daily life. And that's where, we understand that love does have multiple expressions. You have phileo love, which is brotherly love. You have agape love, which is spiritual love, and you have eros love. So it's possible to operate in one of those and be deficient in another. So it's easy for me to go over Shanae house and rub all on her and ooh 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 and baby baby baby, because I'm locked in Eros love. But the same person that's locked in Eros love may struggle in giving phileo love and brotherly love and the love of the essence of us being human beings.
Mm.
And more times often than not, um, I know, because the way we socialize, that these things have now come to the forefront, that we're becoming more self-aware, dealing with our spiritual, mental, and psychological wellness, which is good. And I know that men can cry, because every time I watch Cooley High, goddamn me, I go every time. I cried when I
Okay.
watched
All
Woman
right.
King. I cried like a baby. Wanda, cut on your microphone. We can't hear you unless you don't want
I
me to go
got it. I
noise.
got you, Wanda. I got you.
But you know, um, it's a good thing. I really enjoy these conversations, and I learn a lot. And I seek to be a more wholesome human being. But at the same time, uh, I crystal theory. Don't get it twisted either. Let's
Ever.
not get it twisted,
Ever.
because the same scalpel that can remove cancer will be the same scalpel that can cut an artery. Don't get it
Absolutely.
Yeah.
twisted.
And
No.
so,
Yes.
Get it
so,
twisted.
so, 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 what I
The
think a lot
lion and
of
the lamb.
people, what I think a lot of people get confused is everybody got ops. Everybody has an enemy, but they don't really take that word enemy into the actual movement or cultivation or even the resonance of what it is. A lot of people are upset with various different folks in their lives, from the past, the present, and the future, because they don't understand an enemy. One of the reasons when I learned earlier on in life that I got upset with people and I had to deal with this intimately was I was upset with people because I could directly see and understand my reflection in them that I did not like.
Mm.
I was dealing with something on an external movement or fashion that I could lash out against and point a finger at. But I never dealt with the actual thing, which was the inner me, like I said before. We're not dealing with an external force of an enemy. We're dealing with a literal inner me, an INNERME. That's what we deal with 90% of the times. Now, there are people who might not like you, regardless of what the circumstances may be. It doesn't matter because what they eat don't make you shit. That's the honest truth. Like people who have an opinion about you, people who don't like you or think you should move in a specific fashion, what they eat don't make you shit. So it has
Mm.
no bearings on what you should be doing right now. But when we begin to speak to the individual and we look at the inner implications of, especially when it comes down to a very specific religious sect, and we have our own dogmas that we're dealing with, it's easy to see an external factor that we're fighting against and term that as an enemy when we're dealing with an enemy: sex, food, pride, all that other stuff. It's easy for us to call that shit out because that's really what we're dealing with. But we don't want to deal with the internal person where Jesus is, where the deity, where God is, where the real change actually has to happen. We don't deal with that. If you want to get like to a specific place in biblical terms, the Bible talks about and it states on various different occasions that salvation is a thing that's a personal.
Yes. Individual.
It's an individual thing. But we always make it like you think about, and Sir can testify to this. You think about the evangelist, because I was an evangelist. I went out. I talked to people about the goodness of Jesus. But that was not my. I cannot win a soul for something or somebody else. That's not my job. I can be a witness, but I cannot persuade somebody to be something. If that's the case, the Roman Catholic Church had it right, and we can pray for penance. We can pray to get somebody out of hell.
Oh gosh, no, that's a lost cause. Because I mean, there's so many different mysteries, but those mysteries that we don't all understand, eventually, I bet you, I shouldn't be saying that, but it's gonna be quite clear once we get to the other side.
I'll give you a secret information. I will tell everybody who's listening and who will listen, the ultimate secret of Freemasonry. The ultimate secret. It's not our passwords. It's not our symbols. It's not the way we interact with each other. It's not that. The ultimate secret within Freemasonry is literally understanding that you are face to face with another person who's nothing more and nothing less than a human, and accepting them on that basis for everything that it entails. That's the secret of Freemasonry. Looking at another man and saying, I don't give a shit about your color. I don't care about the histories of the world. What we're dealing with is the right here, the right now, and what you're telling me and how we're interacting on a moment to moment basis. That's the secret of Freemasonry, and doing it in a movement and in a stance that's unabridged, without judgment.
Did y'all hear about the husband and wife who went on a global trip and the wife ended up dying in Jerusalem? Did y'all hear about that? So
Tell us about it.
this old black man and his wife, they had retired, and I forgot what city they were from, but they were like us. They grew up in a highly populated urban area. I think they had went to Spain, and his wife was not used to experiencing different cultures. Fortunately, her husband had been a serviceman, a military man, so he had been across overseas and he was kind of familiar with different cultures. So she can, when they got to Italy, she complained. She didn't like the way the people talk. She didn't like the food. She didn't like the flight. Then they get to Spain. She complaining about the same thing. I don't like the goddamn food. Where everybody talking all funny. And you know, he was kind of like concerned because he had noticed that she wasn't herself. So when they get to Jerusalem, um, she dies. And you know, prior to her dying, I think they had went and visited the wall or whatever, you know, over there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the dilemma was the Jerusalem authorities was like, well, in order to fly her body back, it's gonna be like $30,000 to get her from Jerusalem back to the States.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, they, you know, like I said, they were an older couple, and he said, well, Lord, I definitely don't have that type of cash on hand. And the Jerusalem officials was like, well, you can bury her here for the equivalent of $50, right? So he was faced with a dilemma, right? Do he bury his wife he can afford in a whole different land without to consider, of course, he her husband, so he got the final say, but he was trying to think about, you know, her brothers and sisters and other family who may,
And children, I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah, and all that, because if they want to go see their mama now, they got to catch a whole damn flight, you know, to pay his respect. So, you know, he pondered it, and the Jerusalem officials was really adamant about, you know, saying, hey, you can bury her here for $50 and it'll be done. So he was trying to think, do I want to Zoom the funeral or at least incorporate them? He said, no, no, no. He said, no, I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, stick my neck out, however I got to get the money, but I'm gonna fly her home. And the Jerusalem officials was infuriated